Welcome to Finding Emo, our podcast where we discuss our favorite albums from the early aughts and thereabouts. I'm Blake Fisher. This is Chris Monnier and Kyle Simmons with me as well. We are the host of this podcast. Today we're talking about I already forgot the year, 2012 album by Yellowcard entitled...
It's the newest record we've done.
Southern Air. It is the newest record we've done, isn't it? 2012. We're skipping all around on Yellowcard's discography. We really are not doing it in any specific order. We did we do Ocean Avenue first? I think we did. I think that was the first one we did for Yellowcard, but then we jumped to Paper Walls, and now we're jumping to... We're going like every other. Yeah. We've skipped a couple in between, but we just like this record, and we wanted to do it. I think Kyle suggested it, and I was like, yeah, let's do that record.
we all... I think Chris... sent it while I was typing it. We were all on the same page.
Yeah, it's a good one. Anyway, so we're gonna talk about Yellowcard. Chris has his name as Bridge Factory here in the chat, which is perfect because we're gonna talk over and over again about how good Ryan Key is at writing bridges specifically. Let's just jump into it though. So this was released August 14th, 2012. They had gone on a short, indefinite hiatus. Speaking of Blink-182, in our last episode, everyone sort of adopted that term after they did it the first time.
Yeah, it was ubiquitous after that. They coined it.
It's a really great. It's a great way to say, hey, we are gonna take a break, and we may come back and do music, and we may not. So because that's kind of how you feel sometimes. You just need that break. Anyway, they kind of took that after. I guess it was really after Paper Walls, right? And then they came back and did When You're Through Thinking, Say Yes, and this one. And so they'd had a little break between the last record we talked about, Paper Walls, and then the next two, of which this is the second one. I had a little break. This is also the last record they do with LP on drums before he leaves the band. I know, he's so good. So... this is the last one. So, they'd gone through a couple member changes. One guy, their bassist had left, Sean, other Sean, too many Seans in this band. And he had left to do family stuff. So anyway, they'd had, their kind of turmoil moments as a band, and they're kind of back at it. And I feel like they made two really good records after coming out of that hiatus. They really make 4 good records after that. But, but this is the second one. And so, 2012, we're still on Hopeless, and Neil Avron once again running the engineer-producer's role on this one, with other engineers too. But
he's pretty good.
We've talked about Neil Avron.
He does good music things, yes.
He's decent.
Pretty solid in this genre specifically, the kind of punk pop thing. And so yeah, I mean that's kind of, there was more information, nothing terribly exciting, other than we get another Yellowcard record, which is always great. But that there's some about the album, but nothing crazy. Did you guys find anything or know anything about this album we need to jump into off the bat before we start talking about it?
I didn't realize that the female singers were I think one of the girls is from a band called We Are the In Crowd. So
and I think they were on. I think they were on Hopeless too. I think that was the connection. Yeah. I was trying to figure it out too, because there's a couple background vocal.
Because she's up front in the video. They tried to highlight her.
I've never even seen the video.
Yeah, for Here I Am Alive. Yeah, check it out. They definitely were Ryan, could you help this other band out? It was a
they were on Hopeless too.
Yeah,
and so I think I bet they might have even toured together or something. I mean, you never know. So anyway, they, a couple, cause I didn't write down the girl's name though, of course. So, I did save the band though in Spotify, cause I did check it out too.
Yeah,
I did the same thing. Cause I was curious. They blend well together. So
no, absolutely. Yeah.
Their 2014 record, Weird Kids, is excellent.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll check it out.
We'll check it out. So yeah, that's a few tidbits about the record. Let's talk about first impressions though, Kyle. What were your first impressions when it came out, if then or later?
Okay, guys, I've got to give you a little bit of a warning. This record is super special to me, and I'm going to drop some sadness on you real quickly. No. I know, I'm sorry. I didn't give you any warning, but 2 weeks before this record came out, it was the first time in my life that I lost a close friend. 2 weeks before this record dropped, a friend of mine named Caleb passed away. And it changed, like, when something major happens in your life, it changes the way you listen to everything. It changes the way that you interpret everything. And like this record, it's one of my favorite Yellowcard records. It's very special to me because, like, truly I found comfort in this record. I just listened to it nonstop and thought about my friend. It shaped the way that I heard every single song. I won't jump too far ahead, but Awakening is obviously about a relationship with a girl. But for me, it was this awakening of life is not promised. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
wake up, dude, live your life. And, man, like it changed the way I heard the record, and it's like, it's one of my favorite records of all time, but not just because it's great, but because it was very much a, like a comforting thing for me in a really sad time. So, yeah.
Well, now Chris and I have to talk about this record, and we're not going to have anything nearly as important to say. But that is, I mean, that's how records do sometimes. It's like a time and place. I'm sure that takes you right back there, which is probably a little bit bittersweet, maybe.
Well, we've talked about how, like, finding out actual song interpretations is bad. Like, I think all three of us agree that we're against that because it usually sucks when we find out the meaning. And
I will say this: it does. When a song really means something to me, I don't want to find out what it really means.
Yeah, definitely.
But if it's just a song I like, and because I pay so little attention to lyrics a lot of the times, I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I like that. I know that now. But I feel you. It's kind of one of those things where you'd hate for it to be like, oh yeah, I was just, I don't know, it just rhymed.
Yeah,
and I wrote
totally.
and I wrote it down. You don't want to hear that if something means the world to you.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's just crazy because I know that it probably can't mean to anyone else what it means to me. And that doesn't mean that I love this record more than other people. It just means the way that I hear it, the way I interpret it, the way it makes me feel is very specific. And that's because it followed this life event. And anybody that's lost anyone knows what I'm talking about. But there is something that hits different about, like, your first real friend that dies. It's a weird, it's a strange thing and a sad thing.
Well, of course. Yeah. It's, I've not really had that happen. I've had, people I would say friends, but not, really close friends. So yeah, that's a fortunate thing, but you're right. We're not promised it. Gotta
carpe the diem.
Yeah. Gotta carpe that diem. Chris, what about you?
I have a very interesting answer to this question. Not like Kyle's interesting, because that's very touching, but interesting in a completely different way. I did not listen to this album at all when it came out. I was kind of over Yellowcard. 2012 was like, the last year I lived in Oklahoma, and me and Katie were getting real into like Avett Brothers and stuff like that.
Wait, has it been that long since you've been in Texas? Wow.
Yep.
You're almost a Texan.
Yep. 10 years in June. So I didn't really start listening to this album until, Blake, when you came to Austin for the Yellowcard show and they played some songs, and I was like, oh my God, I don't know these songs. And so I feel it just, like I kind of drifted away from pop punk for a minute, and then when I revisited it, this album's like in my top 200 played. Some of these songs are my favorite Yellowcard songs, period. So it's I cannot believe I missed it when it came out, but it's absolutely incredible.
That makes total sense, because I kind of did the same thing with Paper Walls a little bit. I don't think I actually got that right when it came out, because Lights and Sounds had kind of left a bad taste in my mouth. And sometimes when we will do Lights and Sounds. I'm
so glad we have video so you could see the pain in Kyle's face.
I do really want to do Lights and Sounds on here, because I think that it's good to do an album, like your least favorite album from one of your favorite bands, because I think we'll have some interesting things to say about it. And I assume that Yellowcard would say some of the same things about the record that we would. I don't think that they're holding that up as their best record either. But, you know, sometimes when someone leaves a little bit of a sour taste in your mouth, you forget that, like, oh, that might have been a one-off situation. They don't not have anything left in the tank. I've done that even with, like, Death Cab and some weird bands where, like, they make one record that I'm just like, it's all right. And then I just don't pick up the next one for some reason.
Yeah, in your mind, that's them now.
Yeah, it's like I'm like, well, that's it. They don't have anything in the tank. It just doesn't make any sense. But sometimes that happens to me too. So I don't begrudge you at all. Because I did the same thing with Paper Walls. But once they came out with that, I was like, okay, that was a fluke, Lights and Sounds, and then they just kept making great records. So but that's fine.
I think it happens like that more often than the other way. I feel like when the second album after the successful album is kind of weird and not great, that's usually a pretty telling that it's going to keep going that way. I can think of more bands right now where that
but do you think it trends that way? Do you think it really trends that way, or do you think that they just don't get a chance after that? Because I look at like, I mean, look at really big.
That's a fair
sophomore.
point.
You know what I mean? Like, and you get dropped or whatever,
right? Because Yellowcard had such a huge fan base and such a tremendous following and such a great foundation that a label like Hopeless it's an easy bet. Like, you guys, come over here. Here's some money. Yeah. You guys just do something good, right?
Yeah, because like after you make Ocean Avenue, what's the minimum record you're gonna sell on an indie label if you're that band and touring around? You know what I mean? Like, it's probably a little bit more of like a horror movie situation where you're like, if we give these people $15 million to make a movie, it will definitely make $80 million. You know what I mean? Like,
okay, so let's play this game for a second because I'm super curious what you guys think. Like, what do you think is a guarantee? Like, Hopeless says, yeah, we'll take you, Yellowcard, and they know they're going to sell X amount. Like, in my mind, and I'm almost scared to say this out loud because I don't want to get criticized.
I'm not going to say anything. I mean, people in the comments might.
Like, surely they can sell 100,000 records, right?
I would think that seems pretty doable for someone that went multi-platinum with a record.
I'm thinking surely they can sell maybe 200,000. That's like really good after that.
I would say 100 would be pretty safe.
Okay.
Maybe.
I was thinking 2012. Even if it sucked, they probably sell 50K, no matter what, guaranteed.
Oh, sure, yeah.
And if it's decent, 100.
Okay.
Yeah. But no, I don't think
I think that's probably the right range, but we don't have a subscription to Billboard, so we can't look it up. But
can't afford a subscription to Billboard.
But 2012 was the beginning of the digital era too, so distribution costs had probably gone way down. Selling 100,000 records probably makes Hopeless some decent coin, right?
Sure.
Well, and maybe a lot of those are slinging them on the road too. I don't know. I mean, I don't know enough about what Yellowcard was selling after that. I just know they kept making really good records. And I would bet that's they've been working with the same producer forever. I'm sure they're still, you can still make a great sounding record on a budget. You don't have to spend, I assume, what they spent on. I would bet Ocean Avenue was their most expensive record, that or Lights and Sounds.
I was going to say probably Lights and Sounds,
just because it followed.
Yeah, they have the permission.
But then you can still make a great record for not breaking the bank kind of thing. And so if you calculate it right, and they obviously continue to make they make 2 more records after this one. So
and Neil Chris is a friend of the band, right? He's kind of like
he's been done every record, yeah. So I mean, I would assume that they're friendly at least. So Chris, what year was that I came down there and we went to that farewell tour for Yellowcard? That's 2017, I think.
That sounds about right.
That sounds about right. So that's when you pick up this record and start listening to it.
Yeah, and I bet I heard songs off of it.
I'm sure
that's the first time I listened to it like front to back and realized like, holy crap, this is really good.
That's kind of fun. It's fun to get caught up.
Yeah.
And you're like, I've got 4 records I can listen to.
Yeah.
Kind of go nuts with it. I mean, I really don't remember. I get this and when you're through thinking Say Yes mixed up a lot in my head. I don't know why I do. And I think it's because they have similar feels to them.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely.
They feel very, very similar, like lyrically and the vibe of the records is definitely like Paper Walls feels more punkish and like harder. And then these two feel a little bit more chill. Lift a Sail feels very like kind of epic, stringy and stuff like that. Stringy in a good like strings and stuff. And then honestly, their self-titled one feels like a farewell record. Like it feels exactly like, so for these two, in the middle here get me confused all the time. So I really do mix up which one's which and when I was listening to both.
Excellent records.
They're both really good. Yeah. And in fact, it almost feels like a double album.
Totally.
In a weird way.
I
They
agree.
kind of feel like you could really interchange the songs between them, I feel like, pretty well. I feel like they nailed both these records. There
Have
really
we done
is not
When You're
a bad
Through
song.
Thinking?
No,
Say
we
Yes?
have not. No.
Okay.
So we will go back and do
All
that
right.
and Lights and Sounds at some point, and we'll do all these Yellowcard records. Don't worry.
So
if you're a Yellowcard
here's
fan.
an interesting fact, okay? Going with the numbers that we just talked about. This is their second biggest debut behind Lights and Sounds.
That's
I saw,
interesting.
I saw
Sells.
that. Yeah.
Yeah,
As far as like
23,000
one sales?
copies in the first week.
Yeah, so your 50 to 100 is probably a great
Yeah.
estimate, Chris. If it sells 23 in the first week, that's probably the biggest bump, and then it trickles after that.
Yeah.
Generally,
Yeah.
Unless you have a gigantic single, which this one did not have like a radio single on it or anything. You have total numbers, Kyle?
No, it's not in
No.
there. I'm going to look it up, see if I can find it.
I'd be curious. It has a lot of streams on. I didn't compare it to everything else, but I mean, it's pretty popular. I feel like it gets played. I feel like that's a great indication. I love being able to see like on Spotify, because that kind of, to me, has a little bit more of a long tail on it, as far as like being able to see like, are people enjoying this still?
Right.
It's really interesting, especially less so here, because this is about the time we start getting Spotify in the US. I think that's like 2012, 13. But it's always interesting. What is that right? Am I wrong?
No,
wrong?
you're close. You're close. It would have been before that, because you and
Okay.
Wayne were definitely using Spotify together.
That
So
is
it would have
true.
been
We were
11
but
or
it was
12.
definitely after 2010, because it wasn't while I was at the Apple Store. So anyway,
Right.
It was sometime in that range. But it's always interesting when an album came out before we had Spotify and has a lot of Spotify plays. I always find that really, it's like, oh, that's a good album, because people are still listening to it, even though they didn't listen to it when it came out on Spotify, because it didn't exist. Spotify didn't exist.
Right.
So, anywho, I really love this record. I really don't have a lot of like first impressions, other than I really feel like the violin and the strings kind of shine on this one, like better than some of the albums before it. I think I think they tune lower on this record than some of the other stuff. I don't think they're in the drop. I think they're in drop C sometimes.
The one thing that I noticed the most about them is the evolution of their guitar tone from Ocean Avenue on, and I think starting here we get that more like heavy rock kind of tone from them.
Yeah, it's almost like baritone guitar. It's not quite that low, but it really is. It's almost like they go, oh, okay, you know what? If we drop the guitars a little bit, we leave more space for the violin, essentially. Because
Well, and they work a lot of cello into some of these songs too, like some lower parts. Had they done that before? Because you can definitely hear it.
They did a little bit on every record, there's at least one song, I feel like, that has like a full kind of string arrangement or a quartet arrangement that Sean did. But this one, I feel like, has more strings on it, and they sit nicer in the mix. And some of that is just, you go from Ocean Avenue, which was, the guitar tones on Ocean Avenue are basically straight up like pop punk, what you expect, like from that, which
Ding, 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 ding.
And Neil Avron is so good at like that guitar tone. I mean, he is really, he's a great engineer and producer, and he's really great at everything. Like, I love his records, but he is very good at rock guitars. I think
the
it's like
tones on that, on Lift a Sail are insane.
They dropped
huge.
real low for that one. I think they dropped to like drop open C and some of that stuff. Like, it's definitely like they're in low tunings.
We talked about this because it's kind of the same, even not exactly the same. Like, they're a little more, I think it's fair to say, like, Bayside follows a little more of like a classic rock type, they do the solo in every single song. That's like their thing. But that record we did, Killing Time, that Neil Avron did, the guitars were huge, and it's like it reminds me of this, and the way that their tone changes over time, especially to Lift a Sail, is just crazy to me, because I still love them. I love all of the records that they put out after Lights and Sounds, but the guitar tone definitely changes for sure.
Well, I feel like it becomes more like I feel it's really hard for me to pick, but I do feel like, as much as I love Paper Walls, it's one of my favorite albums ever, and I think it is probably my favorite Yellowcard record. I think these two records, being this one and When You're Through Thinking Say Yes, I feel like they really were like, this is our sound. This is Yellowcard's guitar sound. I feel like they found it in these two records and kind of continued it in the next ones.
And it's
kind of low and grumbly, but without it doesn't interfere with the violin. The violin cuts through way better than it did on Ocean Avenue.
It works on the songs. Like, there's poppy songs, there's punk songs, and it works across the board. So.
Yeah, and it takes the thing that's unique about Yellowcard that could be super kitschy. Like, it could be like, when you hear punk rock with a violin, that sounds like a joke the first time you hear it.
Yeah.
And then you realize, like, no, it's really cool, actually. It sounds great.
Oh, yeah.
It's not buried, but it did it competed a lot more. They competed a lot more with each other on Ocean Avenue.
Oh yeah,
and even Lights
absolutely.
and Sound a little bit.
Yeah, it's a perfect blend on this record.
And I feel like they started writing better for the violin and the strings. It's almost like it wasn't. I don't think it was ever an afterthought.
But yeah, it did. I know what you mean, though. Especially the album before Ocean Avenue. It's the one with the desks.
Yeah. Oh gosh, what the heck is it called? Kyle, help us out. What's their first album called?
Oh my gosh. If you hadn't asked me, I could have freaking told you. Slip, or no.
I can see
look
the
it up.
cover.
I
One
know.
for the kids.
One for the kids. There
Thank
it is.
you.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Good grief.
Yeah, I mean, One for the Kid is not. I don't think that's Neil Avron yet.
No.
For sure.
Oh, I know, but I was talking about the evolution of, like, let's add some violin. That'd be neat. It's a pop-punk song with violin.
It's like our friend that plays violin.
Right. And then now it's just Yellowcard just is these sounds blended together by this record.
Yeah, and I love it. I think they nail it on these couple records, as far as I feel like they get like a sound where you can not just take. I even think you could take the violin and Ryan Key's vocals out, and you would be able to tell it's Yellowcard, if that makes sense. Whereas like Ocean Avenue would have sounded a lot like a lot of other punk pop bands if you took those two elements out. But I feel like they found themselves, I think, after that. And Ocean Avenue is a great album. I'm not dogging on Ocean Avenue. It's fantastic. It's 20
garbage.
years old.
Total garbage.
Hey, speaking of, did you see Smart Punk is repressing the acoustic vinyl?
But not the real one?
I'm like, dang it. Guys, give us what we want.
All I want is Ocean Avenue on freaking vinyl.
You and everyone else.
And I've got, I think, everything else but that. And
I'm probably going to go ahead and get the acoustic one, but still, I'm like, guys.
They should definitely sell that on their Union tour for like $100 of vinyl. They'll get people like you dudes to pay for it.
I would. That's what's crazy.
You mean 1/3 of the cost of a ticket?
Is it really $300?
I mean,
I didn't even look. I didn't look at Jimmy Eat World. I'm tapped out from Blink for the next year.
Oh, Jimmy Eat World one's bad. It was just like $30 for Jimmy Eat World. Not that bad.
Well, maybe I'll actually go to that one.
I'm doing Weezer, Jimmy Eat World, Andrew McMahon.
I'm going to Weezer
coming up this summer. Okay, well, that's kind of first impressions. Let's go to track by track and start talking about these tunes that we, I think, spoiler alert, are going to love. Here's track 1, the aforementioned Awakening.
'Cause with the morning comes the rest of my life, and with this empty glass, I will break the past. 'Cause with the morning I can open my eyes, and maybe I will see a different destiny, like knowing you at all was only a bad dream. I want this to be my awakening.
Well, Kyle, let's go to you first, because I feel like you mentioned the song already. So why don't you tell us a little bit more about it?
Well, okay, so I'll tell you this much. This song, first of all, I'll get this out of the way. Kicks butt. I love the way this song builds, starting with the heartbeat kick drum, dun at the beginning, and I love when they come out of the bridge. They're doing the da 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 da. It's like super heavy. But yeah, man, when I heard I'm going to give you guys a Cliff Notes version. I had a friend who woke up in the middle of the night, passed, just died right away. Looked at his wife, said something bad's going to happen, and he died. They had a baby born 3 weeks later. She was that pregnant.
I'm sorry, he just knew?
He knew something was terribly wrong. He was like, something bad, like I'm bad sick, something's wrong. He had a blood clot, and it made its way to his brain. He thought that he had pinched a nerve and had felt it traveling up his entire body the week before. And
that's
anyway,
even worse. He knew it
terrible. So and anyway, pregnant with their second child, and he didn't have life insurance. And so like truly for me, this event was awful, and it was an awakening. And this song for me, that's all that it meant. Every single time I listened to it, that's what I thought of, was like, dude, you got to get your shit together. You got to get life insurance. You got to get all of these things.
Car insurance.
Right. And car, I guess it's time.
It's time. 2012.
And
Sorry,
so
trying to lighten the mood a little.
No, I mean, but it's kind of true, you know, like it's 2012 at the time. Shoot, dude, I'm 30 years old, you know, I'm considerably younger. I'm 31 years old, but still, you know, time to be an adult, and just had this thing happen to a close friend. And so like I was frantically getting my ducks in a row. And I just mean like regular adult stuff, like truly like getting life insurance and things like that, and writing a will and all of those things. And so for the opening track, I want this to be my awakening. That's all that it meant to me. You know what I mean? It was my awakening. So, and I love the song. I love the way it builds. I knew the second I heard this song that I was going to love the album. As long as if this was any indication as to what was going to follow, we were in for a treat, and luckily we were. So
it's like, unfortunately, a perfect song, Kyle, for that exact situation.
Totally.
You don't want to have a perfect song for that situation, but it really, I can see how that would be. Yeah, it's lyrically appropriate. It feels like, the bottoms up tonight, drink to you and I. It's like
such a great line.
What a tribute.
Oh, dude, the first time I heard it, I'm like, I seriously think I had to pull my car over.
Yeah,
because I heard it in the car first. So,
not going to shock anyone by mentioning that great bridge on this track.
You picked an excellent clip.
Yeah, it's just a really good opening track, and it does feel. I will speak of this multiple times throughout this record, but it does feel like he just matured quite a bit. I feel like lyrically on these two records, and I don't know. He's roughly the same age we are, and I feel like you kind of grow up with someone like that, and they, he's probably going through similar things. And so you just get a better, I don't want to say better, because it's not like I dislike, but it's just more, even when the subject matter is the same. Like, Ocean Avenue is a great record, but like the sentimental songs he tries to write on that record, I get what he's trying to say, but he says it better on this record than he did on. And like, I love Believe. I think like that's the example. What's the other track on Ocean Avenue? I'm trying to remember. That's like a little more sappy. Anyway, I'm here for a sappy lyric. But
the dad song.
Yeah, that one. Yeah. Life of a Salesman.
Yeah,
Life of a Salesman. Right. Thank you. So but I feel like he just gets better at it as he practices writing lyrics. He gets better and better, and that I appreciate that. I feel like they get better as a band. They've gotten better as songwriters. This is a killer opening track, and it really does set up kind of the vibe of the record lyrically and musically, and I love it. Chris, what are your thoughts on it?
Well, I do not want to go last anymore. You
Okay,
guys,
sorry. You'll go first on the next track. I am sorry.
I like this song. It's a good one. No, it absolutely rips, and I love the bottoms up tonight. I drink to you and I line, and that I will think of Caleb now when I hear that, because that's your story's so awesome about this song, Kyle.
Yeah. Hit you different now. It'll hit me different now, knowing how it hits you, Kyle. That's the other thing that's weird about songs. Even just like the personal relationships I have with people, when they like a song for a specific reason, it makes me go, oh, okay, maybe I like that song more now. Not that
what's awesome
needed
about
any
music,
encouragement
though, right?
on this song. What was that?
Yeah,
It's what's awesome about music. That's what's so cool about it.
I can think of a lot of times in my life where I was like sleepwalking through a period, 6 months, a year, and then something just snaps you out of it, and you like think, and you're like, oh my God, like what? What was I doing? It happens to all of us, especially as we get older. So, it's the lyrics are definitely very, very uplifting for folks making their way through the world and just realizing, holy crap, there's those moments. So,
All right, well, let's go to track
spoiler-
2. Oh, sorry,
I was
go
gonna
ahead.
say, spoiler alert. You talked about how much better he's gotten at maybe taking on serious subject matter. Holy crap!
Oh, yeah.
oh yeah, I know.
No, it's coming up. It's getting worse. Or better. Worse, better? I don't know. Let's go to track 2, Surface of the Sun.
We were born to be the ones to show the faith face what we've done. And there's a fire inside. It burns like the surface of the sun. Here in this angel city, lights will shine. And for a while we let ourselves go blind. But now we know who loves
All right, Chris, you're going first this time, so that we don't make you go follow up.
'Cause I whined.
Kyle's great story.
LP is one of the best pop punk drummers besides Travis Barker.
I think he might be I think it might be the two of them.
Yes, yes.
Is that fair?
Yeah. I mean that rhythm that BE plays on that verse is so interesting, and it falls so perfectly in with the guitars and everything. You don't notice it. It's not flashy. It is flashy though, but it's just you guys know what I'm trying to say, right? Like it's
It's not normal,
but it fits.
excellent.
But okay, we talked about this on the last episode, talking about Take Off Your Pants and Jacket, how Travis does such a good job at being flashy between lyrics a lot of times.
Yep.
Like he's not competing with it. He's actually like calling and answering sometimes, and LP does the same thing. He's great
to
at
the
like
lyrics.
playing like playing in the spaces and doing the busy stuff where it's not he's not just being busy for the sake of being busy. He's going like, well, here's a little fill, or the lyrics cut out and I can do this. And I feel like it makes it really musical. Like it's a way to make drums really a lot more than, and drums are interesting because they can be really simple. You can literally be AC/DC and do that kind of backbeat, and that can be awesome. Like there's nothing wrong with just like a solid beat on the drums. And then I feel like there's this whole other crew that tries to go Travis Barker, Carter Buford, LP, pick your phenomenal, technical, busy drummer. Fall Out Boy is a good example of someone that didn't do the busyness thing super well on their first record. I feel like he played too much all the time, and it all was really technically and it was technically good, but sometimes it was like a little too busy for what else was going on.
Metal drummer.
he was a
I think,
metal
still
drummer.
trying to
That's
find
right.
his way.
Right, and trying to sit and playing on top of Patrick, who's singing a million miles a minute too, sometimes on that record. And it was a little competitive sometimes. I mean, it's a great record. I'm not dogging on him. He's a great drummer. But like there was some maturing in whatever the big Fall Out Boy record is that I can't think of any record from Under the Cork Tree. There was some maturity there to like dial it back a little bit. And but I feel like LP was always great at being phenomenal and doing stuff that I can't wrap my head around. There's parts on this record I soloed up in I split out into tracks to just listen to just the drums because I was like, that is unbelievable what he's playing there. So I'm with you, Chris. I think he's phenomenal. Kyle?
Yeah, I
Thoughts?
agree. He's pretty good. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I think you guys talked a little bit about this last week with Travis Barker. I think the challenge is for someone to be busy and yet not take away from anything else that's going on. And LP, is that right?
Yeah.
He does that.
Ingenue.
Also, the bass line's killer. I love. I think the hardcore Yellowcard fans know that Ryan Key is a big Star Wars fan, so he comes at us with the Star Wars line at the beginning of this one: "Do or do not, there is no try." That's Yoda. And then he's got. What's that?
Thank you I like that you attributed it like we didn't know. Yoda, right?
All right. See, I thought that was Admiral Akbar.
That's for the kids.
It's a
guys.
trap guy, right? Yeah.
That's Chewbacca, dude.
Oh man.
So I love the higher sounding guitar on the part that you played that leads up to the chorus part. Freaking cool. And I love how big the guitars are into the chorus on this one. Awesome. 2 songs in, kicking butts.
Good second track.
Yeah, it's a great second track.
And I mean, to me, lyrically, it feels like about the band kind of roller coaster of a ride of the massive success of Ocean Avenue, kind of a fall off.
Yeah, it kind of builds
record.
into the next song too, lyrically almost.
It does. I feel like a little bit, and so yeah, I feel like the "We Were Born to Be the Ones" to show the faithless what we've done. There's a fire inside. We were born to be the ones. I just feel like it's like, hey, this is what we do. We're musicians, and we're gonna keep doing this thing, even if no one likes it. And I love.
I said the next song. I was wrong. I was thinking of "Here I Am Alive." That's 2 songs from now, but
that's 2
thematically kind of the same.
Makes sense. Okay, well, let's actually go to track 3 then, which is "Always Summer."
I love you still. I always
I mean, how am I not going to put that rip-roaring violin solo as the clip? How could I not? He's shredding on the thing.
Yeah, and my favorite part of the album is when the bass does that doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo and plays off the violin. Oh,
Yep.
it's so good.
Chris was rocking a amazing air fiddle just now.
An air
The thing
fiddle.
is, dude, I pictured that you were about to get up and attempt a Sean backflip, and then you
Good way to do it.
You would have done the
Break your back.
backflip. We just
Guys,
would've
could
quit.
you add an ambulance to the Riverside chat, please? I've done some damage here.
Kyle, let's go to you. What are your thoughts on "Always Summer"?
man, I love this song. Such a great vibe. Also, July release, always summer. It's like the perfect time to be rocking a song like this. Was this a single? Did they even have singles on this record?
They did. Yeah.
They were. I think it was "Here I Am Alive" and
I'm checking.
I
think it was
mean, it's no
Awakening.
big deal. It's not like there was maybe for me like a standout radio song. But like
No, but
this
they tried to push
vibe,
singles.
right? The vibe of this song in July, it was perfect. That part was perfection, Blake. The freaking violin solo.
Yeah. Good bridge again, by the way, right before it. With
This is the first
call and
single.
answer. This is the first single. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
so
always
perfect.
summer and Here I Am Alive. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I wanted to find this. But I was like, I think Kyle's right on this one. This was definitely they
Well, I
released it right in May 22nd.
I think the other interesting thing is that Yellowcard feels like a summer band to me. How Third Eye Blind feels like a summer band to me. How Blink-182 feels like a summer band to me. And so to have a song called Always Summer that feels like a summer song is kind of perfectly on brand for my feelings of Yellowcard.
I mean, their first album cover is just a girl with the sunset. But I mean,
Right.
they're just like this is us. We're oceany, summery band for in your hearts.
And
forever.
they are. And
Yeah.
and so this song is endearing for that kind of optimistic, sunny California, Florida vibe. I think it's very, it's like a signature Yellowcard song. I mean, to me, like if you had to say like, here's an introduction to this band, this would be a great track for that. I mean, if there's obviously lots of other huge songs too, but I feel it just encapsulates them very well. Violin solo, call and answer vocals, great bridge, kind of sunny disposition. It's great.
Also,
Chris?
this is one of those cool, like, I'm trying to think of the right word, the way that he emphasizes on the melody. Like this one's kind of interesting on the, and I found a way, da, 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 da. I really like that melody.
He's really good at writing melodies that stand out on their own. Like you can sing that without everything else going on. He's a good songwriter, man.
He's pretty good.
Underrated in my opinion. Chris, do you have anything to say about Always Summer?
Dude, I only wrote one note. I forgot how to say the word note. I only wrote one note. Makes me want to drive up the 101.
Yep. That's pretty much it. I do love... I said I love the back half of the chorus, but I don't know. Oh, I'm talking about that, I guess. What's that line? There's one thing. I left home, but there's one thing that I still know. It's always summer in my heart and in my soul. It's a great. Oh yeah. That's a great back half. I'm looking at the lyrics. They call it the hook. I call it the back half of the chorus, but that's a great part of the song too. Love it. Okay, now let's go into Here I Am Alive, which Kyle was talking about a second ago. Track 4. If I can find my mouse, here we go. Track 4.
If I could write to myself when I was on top of it all, I'd say you're going overboard, and when you're falling, you're gonna feel so small. Someone's gonna tell you that you deserve the worst. They'll say you're never coming back and tell you that you're cursed. And when they give up, 'cause they always give up, say, here I am alive. They say you don't
Chris, you first. Thoughts on Here I Am Alive?
The apology song, like sorry I was a douchebag, you guys. Sorry. I was thinking of the South Park episode with BP, you know, where he's like, we're sorry, like about the oil spill. Sorry. Blake, your clip was very interesting. I like that you went with the front half there.
It was really hard to find clips for this record because really these songs, not one of them has like 30 seconds that fully tells the story of that song. But
but the first lyric and then into the first chorus. It's perfect. When I said interesting, usually go for the bridge.
I do, but I wanted that lyric in there.
Yes,
because I knew we were all going to talk about how this is a mea culpa for maybe getting a little too big of a head during Ocean Avenue and stuff like that. But I appreciate that he puts it down in a song. Like, absolutely. I like that he's like, hey, I'd go back and tell myself, you need to chill out. Yep. You know, this can be fleeting, you know? And and so I think the lyrics are I think he grew up a ton between definitely Ocean Avenue and this record. But I mean, I think it happened before then. I think it's mostly post Lights and Sounds, because even I feel like Paper Walls is a pretty grown up. But I feel like just like that ego check is not fun to do, like, ever in life. It's not fun to be like, I was wrong, ever. No. Especially to write it down in a song. Big man. It's permanent.
Yeah. A big person, too.
So, yeah.
Yes, put it on a record. Now, this song is so great. I love the 4 on the floor on the chorus. Dudes, if this song was released, like, in 2003 or 2004... like, it would have been the biggest song on the radio. The biggest song of the decade, maybe. I mean, it's so good. It's song. Just in the wrong year. You know? Yeah. Well, sorry. I just mean the wrong year to be a huge song. It's just so spectacularly good. But, yeah, it's a perfect pop song.
It's a great song. I feel like, going back to talking about LP playing drums, he's like, you know what this song needs? Straight beat.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It's just...
yeah.
You know... nothing crazy going on there. We know he's got the skills to do something crazier. And I even feel like earlier Yellowcard would have made those guitars chunky on those verses.
Totally.
Yep.
There's nothing pop punk about this song.
Nope. It's all the bass.
awesome.
Like the bass is driving all the low end, and those guitars are just like ding, 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 ding,
Yep.
ding, ding. They're like robotic. They're probably like chopped up in Pro Tools, it sounds like. But it's got a great vibe to it. And that's like, it's an example of lyrically we're maturing. I feel like we're maturing as guitarists. And because they all have more skills than are presented in this recording.
Yep.
Like every member
Right.
of this band is a better technical player than what they dialed back, but sometimes that's what you need in a song, is just like to keep it simple, and they nail it with this one. Kyle, what other thoughts do you have on this track?
I don't really have much more to add. I do love that. I even though I've always been a fan, I encountered many Ryan Key is a dickhead stories from people, and so this record and the record before, him really just kind of owning it. I appreciate that, like, and for me, it's like all is forgiven. Like what could be worse than coming to that realization that you weren't your best self, and everybody got to see that. You know what I mean? The world got to watch while you made poor decisions. So like,
yeah,
I'm all for it. I'm actually really impressed that he pulls it off so well.
Yeah, I think I give kudos to anyone that ever says like I messed up or I wasn't like
hey,
not
easy.
I was kind of a jerk or whatever.
Like saying
like,
sorry.
No one especially in public. Like I don't like saying it in private to someone, but I certainly wouldn't want to like broadcast it on an album. Like I'm just not like, who wants to do that? That sucks. No one enjoys that. And I think that this is a great song, Chris. You're absolutely right. I still think Yellowcard should get way more accolades than they have. Maybe they're almost like just that punchline from the SNL skit, that Weezer one or whatever.
And it's so unfair. They worked so hard for so many years too, even before Ocean Avenue.
Yeah. And they're just all super talented, and I think Ryan Key's one of my favorite songwriters, and I wish everyone liked them more than they. I don't know that people like don't like them. I think people just think of, a lot of people just, oh yeah, Ocean Avenue, I remember that. It's like no, they've got so much more after that, and this is one of those songs.
I've told this story before, but the reason I became a Yellowcard fan was because on their website they had this page, and it just said, just email us your address and we'll send you stickers. No money, nothing. Just email. And I always thought it was so cool that it worked. I was like, really?
Yeah,
they just
I know.
sent a bunch of stickers.
I know we tell some of these same stories every time.
But just in case
we
somebody
do a Yellowcard record,
listening,
but in case you have not listened to one of our other Yellowcard episodes, these guys were like the best guerrilla marketing team ever. They would play if you were at a high school and they had and you were coming in tour like to that town, you could be like, hey, come play my high school, and they'd come play in the cafeteria, like legit. They played at our high school. I was out of high school at that point, but my sister was still there and organized it. And so, but I mean, they don't have to do that. They don't have to. No, they don't want to get off the bus at 9 a.m. or 10 a.m. and roll into a high school
all their crap,
and set up their. I mean, I think we had sound there or whatever, but roll in and play a show but like those kids freaking loved it. I bet they sold as many albums in school cafeterias as they did in stores back then, or venues. I mean, because how cool is that? A freaking rock band comes and plays your high school, and send us, shoot us a letter. We'll send you stickers. I mean, they worked really freaking hard. It's not just like, oh yay, overnight success of Ocean Avenue. It's like they worked freaking hard, and I appreciate that even more about them, because I don't feel like I think there was definitely some ego for sure after Ocean Avenue, but I think that's also just you're a lead singer in a band. You're going to tend to be a little more narcissistic probably than someone that chooses to not be a lead singer in a band. There's just
20 years old and you've sold 1 million records. You're probably. I mean, I
would probably
a lot
have
of
been
us
a
aren't
jerk
going to take
too.
that well.
Yeah, and so, but yeah, they worked freaking hard, and so I always implore people. But this would be his track. that I would put on a, like, hey, if I've got to give someone a Yellowcard mixtape of sorts, this would definitely be on there. Check this out. I think you'll like it. Okay, let's go to track 5, Sleep in the Snow.
And no one could see, but you're like the winters that you've always known. Warm on the inside while I sleep in the
I kind of had to do the outro as the clip, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I just really love that. It's really cool. I like the 5/4 verses too. Always fun to do a weird time signature if you want to. Chris, what are your thoughts on it?
Love the great big soaring intro, and then how it goes into the minor verse too. They do that really well. Saves the Days, another band that does it really well. But Yellowcard has their own way of doing it, and adding those dynamics to the song always make all their songs so interesting. So, great clip too.
Kyle?
Yeah, I really like this one. It's pretty hard to pull off a song about snow 2 songs after it always being summer, but they do it flawlessly.
Well
They
done.
do it fine.
I one of the lines on this one that always stood out to me. I wanted to show you all of my dreams, things that I buried that no one could see. I love that. Man, he's an excellent lyricist. I always like it when Yellowcard slows it down a bit too, and so this is kind of the first taste of that.
His little solo EP that he put out, I can't remember which one it is. It's got a song called Bowery. It is a phenomenal song. He definitely went very like it's like Chris Elliott, right? That's the own thing. Yeah, it's so good. It came on my playlist the other day, and I was like, "Oh, this song is so good." And the kids were like, "This is a slow song." I was like, "Shut up! It's a great song. You listen to this, you'll like it." But yeah, I'm into when Yellowcard goes. I'm any band going for the slow jam. I'm into it, and I like when they go chill, especially when you've got a guy that's going to do an awesome string arrangement on it. You've got that guy in your band. I very much like it. I did forget to mention on "Here I Am Alive," by the way, lyrics co-written by Patrick Stump. I had that in my notes.
Yes.
And I forgot to mention
very
that.
cool.
So, speaking of Fall Out Boy, yeah. So I'm into this track. I think it's got a fun, the sort of minor verses and the 5/4 thing, and it's like pretty big, and then it goes into that outro that's like beautiful,
Yeah.
and it's just kind of different. So I think they do a good job of not boxing themselves into that formulaic kind of thing of, well, we got to do this and then this and then this, and we got to keep it heavy or whatever. I like that they kind of chilled out on these 2 records. Because really they'd gone pretty hard on the other ones. Or, most of the stuff was pretty fast and stuff on those first. Lights and Sound tried to do a couple of little things, but they were a little bit weird. They weren't quite this vibe. They were a different chill vibe.
Yeah.
Didn't get a lot of chill stuff on Paper Walls, but then these 2, they're kind of like, all right, we got a few slow ones or chill ones or things we want to feature more strings and things like that on it. So I'm into it. I like it. We are halfway through this fairly short record. It's only a 10-track album. So let's go to track 6, A Vicious Kind.
So I think it's time that we said goodbye. 'Cause all your talent lies in the way you're always moving on and on and on. Oh, the beat kept getting faster, and you lost control. I want you to know I'm not sorry at all. You can't buy forgiveness or blame me for the fall. All I ever
Oh, sorry. Did I ruin that for you?
No falsetto.
He's good at the falsetto.
Yeah, he pulls it off.
I'm sorry. I just, I tried to keep them all to the same
Hey, man, you're following the rules, Blake. Good job.
I'm trying to. I'm trying.
Good
We
job,
keep running
rule
into
following
copyright infringement, so trying not to. Kyle, let's go to you first.
Well, for those that don't know, in just a couple seconds, Ryan Key does a sweet, sweet falsetto. Sounds great. Man, I love this song. This is number 6, is that right?
Track 6, yes.
I mean, I think the coolest thing about this record, and again, I'm biased, it means something to me, but it's cohesive, but it's not the same. Like, the songs are unique and interesting. It doesn't feel like we're just getting... Not that Ocean Avenue isn't great, but Ocean Avenue, every song on Ocean Avenue sounds like it belongs on Ocean Avenue. They kind of sound similar. I don't know, it makes sense. They were young. They were learning to write these songs together. This, I feel like this record, they're just better songwriters. And I don't know if they write together as a band. I noticed, at least on Apple Music, it credits the entire band for the songwriting, not just Ryan.
I read a little bit about it. They said they had like most of the album fleshed out musically, and then he went and wrote all the melody and lyrics and stuff like that. So I assume it's kind of like a, hey, I've got an idea for a song. We hammer it all out, and then I'm like, great, I like how this is going. I go back and I finish it. I think it's kind of like that process. So yeah, you're going to give some credit if you're hammering out parts and stuff like that. So,
well, I just think it's cool how, like truly, I think each one of these songs has kind of sounded unique in its own way, not like the one that came before or after, and yet it still feels cohesive. It still feels like a record. So, I think that's pretty impressive.
What do we think this song's about? Does anyone know? I mean, it's every time I see any kind of fighting one, I always wonder if it's about Ben. That's always my first, like, 5 becomes 4. I'm just like, that's got to be about Ben leading the band, right? It's got to be, right?
That's what I assumed it was about.
I mean, it feels like Ben or a label or something. It feels like a music industry situation, maybe. I don't know. I could be totally wrong. I can't find anything about it, but it's just got a few lyrics that lead me to believe, I don't know. You can tune me out, you can turn me down, try to cut me off, but you won't stop me singing. It just feels like one of those, like, I'm mad at a manager or someone that told me I need to write a hit song or whatever.
It is so weird, though, how different the message is between this one and 5 Becomes 4.
Yeah, but that's why I don't think it's about Ben. I think it's like, when A Vicious Kind, I don't think that was that. Because 5 Become 4 felt very like, I'm sad about this. This feels like he's mad at someone.
He had one of the Dixie Chicks on Lights and Sounds. Maybe it's to her.
Maybe it is. Maybe he was like...
She was
What
late.
is her name? I always forget her name. Natalie.
Natalie.
Natalie. What a vicious kind.
What a vicious kind.
I don't know. Well, no idea. Ryan Key, give us a shout. Let us know what this song is about.
Know, buddy.
Call the hotline 1-800-FINDING-EMO.
Not a real number. Chris, you have any thoughts on A Vicious Kind?
You
You can take it or leave it, essentially.
It's a meh.
Okay.
The chorus, the verse is great. The chorus doesn't pay off. It's just
I think that's fair. I think the verses are maybe better than the chorus on this one.
Yeah.
I think that's fair.
It's got a lot of tough competition. I want to emphasize the relativity of that statement based on the amazingness of the record. Like,
you were comparing it to the other greatness that's on this record. Yeah,
it's the best song on The Young and Hopeless.
Oh, wow. Shots fired across the bow by Chris Monnier. We're going to get some hate for that from the good Charlotte fans.
Dude, it had been a minute since I've received a why do you guys talk so much trash? Thanks, Chris.
No problem.
Every once in a while I get a request for like, hey, you guys should do this album. I'm like, you will not be happy.
You don't want us to do it.
Or at least if I do that album, you were like, it's like, you should do this. And I'm like, oh, you are not going to like what I have to say about Hawthorne Heights. Let's go to track 7.
Well, no, I was going to say, I was thinking about this the other day. We tend to do albums we like, and we're always just saying wonderful things about it. I think that's what makes the podcast fun. But then every once in a while we'll do one and we're just like, it sucks. So we know we know when we don't like things. We just choose to talk about things we like more often, I guess. Is what
or at least sometimes the ones that we do talk about, we we might have been more in like with when it came out and it didn't age well.
Yes.
I
You know,
mean, I
that
think
definitely
Good Charlotte
happens
is
too.
the perfect example
Yes.
of that. Like,
Yeah.
I don't at all
bought that
think-
record.
Well, and I don't think that it sucks at all. It's just not. It doesn't hit the same.
I'm
as it
just
did.
not going to pop it in the
Yeah.
CD player right now. I'm not going to be like, oh, that's
I
what
mean,
I'm
I
in the
am
mood
for my kids on the way to
Yeah.
school. You know,
No,
they're
not
gonna
even.
feel it, but like, I don't know. Yeah.
All right, let's go to track 7, Telescope.
You were inspiration when no one else believed. You showed me strength in my skin that no one else could see. Let's just keep driving on. All the stars jumping in through the windows. Let's go where we belong. Headed fast as we can for the unknown.
Chris Mooney, any thoughts on Telescope? That was kind of a weird, awkward ending
I liked
there.
it. No,
Okay.
dude, that was like you're like an FM radio DJ on this podcast.
Oh,
Like,
hardly.
okay, so great time to bring it down a notch. This is a nice ballad. What is Song Smiths? What is the "You're My Only Hope, You're My Telescope"? It's the hook, but it's not really a bridge. It's not really a chorus. What is it?
I would call it a bridge. No,
just a bridge?
That's
Okay.
not really. Hold on. I guess
Do you see what I'm saying though? That it's kind of like just another part.
it's like a B chorus or something.
okay.
that happens
Okay.
sometimes.
Yeah. B chorus. I like
That's what
Okay.
I'd call it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, that's my favorite part, especially the call and answer on the outro with Cassidy Pope. It sounds great.
Right.
Cassidy Pope.
Cassidy Pope.
Yeah,
Shame Monday.
I said Cassidy before she went pop and way before she went back pop punk again.
See, I don't even know. I mean, I know who she is barely, but this is showing my out of touchness. So she was pop punk. What band was
She
she
was
in?
the lead singer of Hey Monday.
Okay.
And then Blake Shelton. She was one of those people that when they used The Voice.
Oh, she was
as
on
an
The Voice.
incubator.
Yeah. Okay.
And they're like, and she was like, "Oh, I'm a musician and I've never had any success." And and
Dia was on there
everyone's
too from Megan Dia.
Yeah,
on The Voice.
totally.
Same situation. It was
that's
like,
the
it was
formula.
like you were
now.
Warner
It's-
Brothers.
It's an incubator. That's what it is. Like,
Yeah.
oh, these people that were in successful bands that want to try a solo career, we're going to pretend like they're starving artists.
Right.
And I'm not trying to hate because I think Cassidy is awesome.
She's
I
got
loved
a
Hey
great
Monday,
freaking
and
voice, yeah.
oh man, her killer voice.
She's. I only remember because we like.
She's also pretty.
It must have been when my wife was pregnant with our second.
I've heard.
According to the rumors.
According to the rumors, second kid, and we had a guy that's going through a divorce living with us too, and we would just we watched The Voice like all the time. There was just that time where like Elise was super pregnant, and we watched. And yeah, I saw her on there. I was like, dang, like 'cause, you know, like they're not doing
holy
auto tune
smokes.
for these people on The Voice. You know what I mean? And like she was every note was perfect. Like
Oh, yeah.
on the because she'd won I think the season before, and she was just back. Singing, I was like, my goodness, like she's flawless, like she's
Yeah.
not missing
Yeah.
anything here. But I knew she did kind of country stuff, but I had no idea she was like in a band before that. So shows what I know. But great background vocals to Ryan Key's lead vocals. I like it. Kyle, what are your other thoughts on Telescope?
I mean, I think it's great. I like it when they slow it down a little bit. I love, again, this is another one where that guitar tone, no way it would have existed on Ocean Avenue. It's so cool that, I mean, I think they still sound like Yellowcard, but they're just grown up Yellowcard. I love it.
Yeah, I'm very much into it. I think it's got really pretty parts. It's got kind of heavier parts, and that's Yellowcard, I feel like, and they blend them together well without it feeling too herky jerky or anything, going from one part to the next. Chris, do you have any other thoughts on Telescope? You out of thoughts? All right, let's go to track 8, which is Rivertown Blues.
I see a future in which I will soon become the only truth you know at all. You wanna know what I'm thinking? I think about back then, back when we built something new. The world was ours to
Ingenue Parsons the third with the double time, y'all. Holy cow, that beat on the back half of the verses that's like, I mean, he is like, that's the one that I'd like split out into its track just to hear that by itself. It wasn't good enough audio quality to actually throw the clip in here, so I didn't do it. But yeah, it's just freaking fast. They're like, yeah, we can still do punk rock. We can absolutely still do it. Chris, what are your thoughts on it?
That's all I wrote about was the Forbidden Beat.
Love it. There's also a sweet solo in it too, like a freaking metal solo.
Yeah. No, the guitar tones are. It's very no, that's not the right word. The guitar tones that you guys were talking about, how great they are, they're like prominently on display on this tune.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got harmonizing, like freaking metal riffing guitar solo at the end of this, with that feedback that goes into the note. Meow, meow. It's so good. And that last very end of this song, which we did not get to because I was in my clips from the beginning. Again, really hard to find a 30-second clip of most of these Yellowcard songs. The fun thing about kind of punk bands is that because the songs are faster generally, you get more of the song in a 30 or 40 second clip. But in this case, you just can't find the 30 or 40 seconds that's the best part. I just felt like that double time kind of, I love that pre-chorus where like the guitars keep going, but the bass drops out for those other riffs. It's a great song. Kyle, I'm going to stop rambling.
No, you said all the right things, Blake. And this whole time I've been talking about how it didn't sound like Ocean Avenue, but this one could fit in on Ocean Avenue.
Oh, definitely.
Style-wise, you know, like, and they're kind of like, yeah, guys, we can still do this. I wonder what this is the one that I'm like, who is this about? Any insight?
I mean, again, I feel like Vicious Kind and Rivertown Blues and Surface of the Sun are all kind of in that same vein a little bit. And I don't know. I mean,
I guess this one could also be a romantic relationship.
Yeah.
It could be. Yeah, for sure. I'm just trying to see
when somewhere inside this you changed and I could never follow you that way.
Yeah.
That is brutal and also awesome.
I'm supposed to say this was your loss and I'm fine. I like that line too.
Right.
I like that. He's good enough. Like he gives us enough to, well, that's what he's good at. He's good at making me feel a way about a song that probably isn't what he was intending necessarily or what he really felt, but like he's just vague enough and specific enough at the same time. I know that sounds like a contradiction, but it's like, the I'm supposed to say this was your loss and I'm fine. I'm fine. You know, you want to know what I'm thinking? I think about back then. Well, I mean, like that could be about anything. It could you could relate to it a different way than Chris relates to it, than I relate to it, and I think that's what makes good lyrics for the most part is like saying something in an interesting way, but not being so specific that if you didn't go through that very specific thing, you can't relate to it.
And that's about to change on this record. Spoiler.
Well, that is true, but don't know how you would go about that. So let's go to that, I guess. Let's after the just freaking raining down of fast awesomeness and shredding of track 8, we go to the very sad track 9, which is called 10.
How it would have felt to hold you. Would you have had my eyes? Don't you think we would have been best friends? You would be 10 and I'd be driving you to school. You would tell all your friends that you thought I was cool. And you would have all the love in my heart.
Before we get into the sad subject matter, fun fact about this track is Sorry. I'm just like, before we dive into it, sorry.
I don't know about that
tell
segue,
us
Blake.
what's
I don't
fun
know,
about
man.
this.
I don't know if it's going to play in the big leagues. I take back my FM comment.
I'm not big league. No one is claiming that.
Please make this fun for us.
Yeah,
Blake.
tell us the hilarious fact about this
Well, it's not a
song.
hilarious fun. It's just like cool fun. And you guys won't care at all now. So I'm the only one that's going to think this is fun. Dave Emmerglick from Counting Crows is playing the pedal steel and mandolin on this track, which I don't know how they got with them, but I'm into it because I'm a Counting Crows fan. And I guess if you need a pedal steel, you're like, yeah, let's throw some pedal steel on this thing. Another
That's who
cool
you call.
choice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I like it. I think it's a great, it fits perfectly because it's got a little bit of a, Ryan has a little bit of a country vibe to him sometimes.
Yeah,
Not like in a huge way, but like he has some of those, like how he calls back to the, like sometimes he calls back to that like first lyric in the song at the end of it. Every once in a while he does that, which is like kind of a country thing to do for sure. Anyway, I just think the pedal stills and mandolin's a nice touch on this, and I feel like it's also a cool, I don't want to say like brave. I hate when people are like, oh, it's brave. I'm like, it's a music. But I mean, you know, you don't think mandolin and pedal steel on a punk rock album, especially following that last track. You know, and I think it's a cool instrumental choice. Okay, Kyle, go on to talk about the actual song.
Man, this song is devastating.
Yeah, it really is.
It is just devastating. And this is an example of the opposite of what we were talking about. Like, it is so specific. He is giving us such a, what's the word I'm looking, like an intimate, insight into something that's happened in his life. It is so personal. It's just devastating. I love how haunting the at the beginning, you know, that they keep coming back to. I love that. I love the picking guitar part. You're right. It's kind of got those country vibes, but man, dude, like wearing Star Wars PJs and holding your little hand. The part of this song, like he just keeps punching me in the gut. He keeps punching me in the gut. And then he says, oh gosh, something about being harmony. What is it? You would be harmony to my favorite song. Yeah. Oh, you would be harmony to every single part of me. Yeah. And you would have all the love in my heart. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
No, it's hard not to be like
William Ryan Key.
And I think the other thing that makes it like really great and is that it's a 10-year retrospective. This is something that happened to him 10 years ago, and he's still devastated by it, kind of thing.
This kid would be 20 now.
Right, because we're, that far removed from 2012, aren't we? So, you know, it's, and obviously, I mean, in case you weren't just, because you have no idea what the song's about, it's clear about a miscarriage. And so, like, super sad, obviously. And the reason I like the specificity of this song specifically is because that is something a lot of people go through and no one knows. Like, like no one knows, no one talks about it because it's super painful and it's like generally something that's like doesn't happen publicly. You know, a lot of times like it, you know, it doesn't happen, especially because a lot of them happen early, and so no one even maybe knows you're pregnant. And so I just feel like it's like 1 in 4 pregnancies and then miscarriage.
I think the way that people cope with it too, it's very seldom that it's personified like this. Like he's talking about this miscarriage as, you know, as if they're a person. He's making them a child, you know, like putting it in. Like, I do think that one of the coping, it's such a common thing. One of the coping mechanisms is, you know, you just kind of want to move on and not think about it because it's just a sad deal. Let alone, you know, put Star Wars PJs on it. So,
but then a lot of times you're doing that by yourself too. You know, that's the other thing that sucks. And I appreciate that it's from the guy's point of view too. It's like, you know, there's 2 people that lose a baby in this situation. And, you know, you're doing the math on like, he's like 20 when this would have happened or something like that. But it's still, I don't know. I appreciate that this is 10 years later and he's writing about this. And I think it's I am confident that this song was also like lyrically and everything about this was better to let that stew for those 10 years. Not that you have to, but I just feel like, I don't know. And I really like that he's written a couple songs that are like really heavy subjects, and he does it in the perfect way. Because Believe was like that for me too. It's like, how do you write a song about 9/11? Like what song? What? It's not going to be good. And he does, and he did. Like he managed to write a song about 9/11 that I'm like, yeah, it's a really good song, and it's not too, it's not freaking Toby Keith post 9/11 writing whatever, stick a boot up their ass kind of thing. It's it's, I don't know. He's just really good at it, and not that I want him to have a lot of reasons to write sad songs, but he writes pretty good sad songs. And I wouldn't wish that on anyone. It is weird to have someone that's like this talented and has that Life of a Salesman song where it's like, I had a great dad. Like so many of these people have like crap family lives. Yeah. They're depressed. They like hate, it's like, which kills me too. I mean, I hate when, it's like super sad when someone's like super talented and then they kill themselves or something. You're like, oh, that sucks that they were like, it's like you can almost tell that was going to happen. Yeah. So, I mean, I like that he's like, generally life is pretty good for him, but he's got some things that he's like, no, I'm going to talk about this stuff. And I think he does really well at it. And kudos for giving us this track. Cause honestly, like there's not, I can't think of another song about, there's oddly enough, there's a Counting Crows one, but it's super wrapped up in metaphors and stuff like that. But that's the only other song I can think of about a miscarriage, which for something that happens in 1 in 4 pregnancies, I feel like it maybe not sung about enough.
You'd hear more.
Yeah. So any other thoughts, Chris Monnier?
Oh no, it's just very sad. It's a very sad song. I drive my boys to school and pick them up every day. That line got me in the feels, especially the days where it's hard and like annoying and they're screaming at me. And then I'm like, and then I hear Ryan say that. I'm like, oh, I'm such an asshole. I should just love every moment.
Yeah. But it does make you feel that way, right?
They threw a fruit snack at me today though. That was pretty enraging. And then the cross guard yelled at me because I was creeping into the lines and called me young man. And
oh no,
just got so mad.
Young man.
Oh yeah, me and the cross guard have problems. And he calls me young man, and I've told him I've said I do not like it when you call me that because I am not like that. Is it's disrespectful. It's like a boomer way of like being,
Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, it's also just like playing into your. It's like the worst thing you could call Chris. By the way, it's like you can call him a jerk, or you could be like, hey,
if you guys ever read about a crazed parrot attacking a cross guard in Austin, you'll know it was me. Yeah,
it's like the last thing you want to be like, young man, and like Chris is like that's gonna boil.
Yeah. I'm not a fan.
I look forward to hearing more stories about you and the cross guard as we go on. Okay,
he's doing a public service. I should be nice. It just me and him don't get along.
But don't you think that there's
he's on a power trip.
Oh yeah, that's what I was gonna say. There's some of these that they're doing it for the power, right?
Like what happened is I pulled out just barely, and he goes stop, and he walks over to my car. He goes stop, you gotta stop. And I was like, dude, I already corrected my mistake. Like, you got the outcome you wanted. I didn't see you, and I stopped. You're being an asshole right now.
Yeah, also, when you keep saying stop, and I'm already stopped, that's not doing anything for...
I'm glad you guys have my back.
They get that freaking reflective vest on, and they start power
They're
tripping.
$5 an hour.
Yeah. Do you think he like looks at that thing in the mirror and it's like, all right, I look good.
He says stop to the mirror. Stop.
Oh, yeah, he just practices in the mirror. I think that's one of those jobs that's like, you're doing a public service, but you can tell the people that do it because they want to be in charge of telling cars what to do.
Yes.
Like
power.
You can tell the difference. Okay, let's go to track 10. Final track on the album, also the title track of the album, Southern Air.
I've thought about the day when I could truly say I'm better now.
Chris Monnier, let's go to you. Track 10, Southern Air. Thoughts?
That is how you end an album. I mean, holy crap. It's so good. Might be one of my favorite closers of all time. And I love that he calls out the album title in it. Just a banger from the beginning to the end. God, it's a great song.
Yeah. And I feel like it also is very, like, signature Yellowcard.
Yeah.
You know, they pull out all the Yellowcard things. We got strings. We got
The
we got
Swiss
the chill
Army Yellowcard
kind
knife,
of bridge. Yeah. We've got big heavy stuff. We've got that opening kind of part. It's just great. Kyle, what are your thoughts on it?
Man, it's excellent. I love the freaking sliding. The bass part. It's just freaking awesome. I love how it feels thematically like the closing of a door, like the beginning of this, and the way that I experienced this record with the tragedy, like it was a good punctuation on that. You know what I mean? Like I got through it, and then I thought about the day when I could truly say I'm better now. Here I am. Like it's the perfect ending to this record for me. Everything about it, the way that it rocks, like you said, even I think there's times that I think it's cheesy when a band uses the song title or the album title in a lyric. And then there's times that I'm like, yes, this is one of those times that it works for me. But I love it. It's the perfect ending to this record.
We believe he represents a clear and present danger. Like that. Like you don't want to do it that way.
I feel like it doesn't work as well in movies. I'm fine with it in songs.
No,
it doesn't bother me so much.
When they say that in that movie, I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah,
Great
it does.
movie,
it is a great movie. I love those movies. Yeah, no, it's a great ending track. They really bookend this thing really well, and it's not like there's just a bunch of filler in the middle. It's just a great album, but it really does make me want to start the record again, which is to me is the job of that last track. I'm like, yeah, let's do this thing again. Let's rock it. And I did a lot the last couple weeks because it's just really good.
Yeah, it was a fun few weeks.
You know, and even like the home stuff, like he's got a lot of songs about the kind of like Florida, California thing for sure. And this feels like that. But it feels like on Ocean Avenue, it was about how this place felt foreign, and like by the time we get to this album, it's like, no, this is home kind of thing. So I like it. You know, you can make any place your home kind of thing, and so love it.
Also,
yeah.
Can I tell you this is very rare because I know I complain about this a ton on this podcast, but this is the rare occasion where I feel like Yellowcard was like, man, we've got them in the feels, guys. Let's put a Coldplay cover on this. and I was just there,
got it right where we want
ready, and they just blindsided me with "Fix You."
See, and I didn't have this version of it. I bought the CD, so I didn't hear the "Fix You" thing until like this week.
It comes at you hot. You're like, wait, what?
I'm already kind of sad.
Yeah.
Let's Fix You, man. Talk about a song that hit all the feels and was on every television show for like 2 years.
One of the I have you guys seen the Danny Boyle film Yesterday?
Yeah.
One of my favorite things is when he plays Yesterday and he's like, it's one of the best songs ever written, and she's like, it's not Coldplay, it's not Fix You.
Yeah.
It is a great dig. I bet they laughed at that. I feel like, obviously, do not know Coldplay. It doesn't seem like they take themselves too seriously, which is what I like. I like that they
also. I'm not ripping on the song. I love the song.
Yeah.
Fix You.
No.
Oh yeah, no, I get it. I mean, yeah, but it's not Yesterday. I mean,
no.
It's a great song, but I mean, no one's claiming any song is better than lots of Paul McCartney songs.
Yep.
Which makes me think of that.
I just wanted to say I approve in this case of a bonus track. It seemed to it worked for me.
I like a cover bonus track because it's not I mean, there's no better than
yeah,
Jimmy
it's not an
World's.
extra ending technically. It's just a bonus at that point.
Oh, and you're going to hear about a bonus track on the next episode, because coming up next is, because we are 3 years into doing this podcast, we are doing album number 4 from Jimmy Eat World next, Chase This Light. So, well, not really their 4th album, but we started at Clarity. So, and that one has one of the best bonus tracks ever. So I'm excited about it. We actually are kicking around maybe doing it live. So if you enjoy listening to this podcast, we may start recording it not at 10 p.m. and do it kind of like a live stream thing and see if that works. I don't know. We haven't quite nailed down the details yet, but we are thinking about it. So pay attention to things like Instagram and Twitter, and we will let y'all know if that's the case that we go with that. Anyway, we're getting ahead of ourselves. Let's go to lasting impressions. Does it hold up? Kyle, I think this one's going to be obvious.
Definitely holds up. Awesome record.
Chris, I'm curious on yours, because you listened to it later. I assume you like this album too and think it holds up. Do you regret not listening to it in 2012?
Absolutely. I think I'm the biggest proof that it holds up, because I listened to it for the first time and like it didn't feel aged or dated at all. It just slipped right into my regular listening rotation, and all of a sudden I was like listening to this. I don't listen to a lot of albums anymore. Like, I listen to playlists that I kind of create and curate in different seasons of the year. When this record comes on, I always, if I hear a song randomly, I always just start from the beginning and play it all the way through, because it's that good. Yeah. So it absolutely holds up as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think it's great. I think really they have so many good albums. I know we kind of dog on Lights and Sound a little bit, but it even has some fantastic tunes on it. And to me, everything but Lights and Sounds are great records, like front to back. There's really not even 5 songs among them that I would kick off. And so this falls into that category as well. Is it their best album? I'm sure none of us are going to say yes, but maybe. Kyle, I mean, where are you at? I forget where we landed last time we did a Yellowcard record.
I think I said this. I probably didn't, but I can't really say fairly. Like, truly, this one just means too much to me for me to answer that one fairly. Like, I personally love it so much. But no, you know what, Blake? We've said this in the past. Really, the 4 records that followed, Lights and Sounds, it's like I don't want to get rid of any of those records. It's just such an impressive winning streak, you know.
I'd say all 5, actually. I would even the
you're
last one, really, because I still think Paper Walls is my favorite of theirs. It just is those last 3 tracks on it are just phenomenal. How they go into each other, they work so perfectly. So I think Paper Walls is my favorite of theirs, but they really, I can't tell you why. I can't like objectively tell you why it's better than this record or when you're through thinking, say yes. Honestly,
oh my gosh,
they're all really, really good.
And
Lift of Sail is more of a grower for me. I think we talked about that when it came out. It didn't immediately hit me like these records do, but it like ended up really growing on me. Like the whole record was like that for me. But when you're through thinking, and this could have been like the best punk rock double album ever. They should have. I mean, they were only 2 years apart. Has any punk rock band ever done the double record? I feel like you could do it with 3-minute songs. But
well, I mean, Green Day tried it with Trace.
That's true. They tried the triple. Yeah, maybe 3 is too many.
And name a song off of it. All 3.
There you go.
The thing that I think is cool about them too is like for that 5 record run, there's something special on each of the albums, because Lift a Sail was more of a grower for me. But dude, I don't know if you how familiar you are with that record, but MSK, that song,
yeah. Well, and what's
crap.
what's the song? Hold on, I gotta look it up now. Chris, why don't you tell us your thoughts on best albums of Yellowcard while I look something up about.
You say Transmission Hell.
I mean, it's you guys are absolutely right that all their records are very special, and man, they've got quite a discography. This one's up there though. I mean, it's pound for pound, it's one of the best. I just don't know if I could say it's their best.
Yeah, I was talking about the song "The Deepest Well." That
Oh,
song
yeah.
is really freaking good on Lift a Sail. Lift a Sail's underrated though, as an album in general.
It is.
So I don't know if it's their best one, but I don't know, like, it's not like there's some ding against it that makes it not their
Right.
best one. It's just that, like, there's a couple other ones that are just like cheap, just a little bit.
Everything is so good, it's hard to choose.
Yeah, it's hard to choose. What about, is it their most important album? I would say
No.
Ocean Avenue is clearly the most important for their success. I mean, there's just no way they do any of the things that come after that without Ocean Avenue. So I still think Ocean Avenue is definitely their most important album. And you guys agree?
We agree.
Yeah,
Agree.
okay. Desert Island Tune. See, not a professional. No professional DJ would have done that. Desert Island songs. 2 or 3 of your favorites. We never picked 2, though. Kyle, what are your 3 favorite songs?
I'm going 3 all the way. And I'm probably going to go basic, and then I'll go 1. Yeah, I'm okay. So I'm going to
Good
go.
luck.
I'm going to go Awakening. Here I Am Alive. And I'm torn between 10 and Southern Air. I guess I'll choose Southern Air because it's less sad, but
Because you don't feel
Great.
like crying right now?
yeah, exactly.
Chris, what about you?
For me, it's Surface of the Sun. Yeah, I just absolutely love that song. It freaking rocks, and whenever it comes on, I can't stop banging my head. Always Summer and Southern Air.
Man, it's hard for me too. I think I'm going.
hard.
I think I'm going Awakening, Here I Am Alive, and Rivertown Blues. That song just freaking rips.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
does.
It's really good. But
It wasn't easy to pick 3.
normally the sign of a good album is that we do not line up on the songs. I think
Yep.
that's generally
Yeah.
a pretty fair assessment. Nobody's perfect. What's the worst song on the album? If you got to pick one, I know this is probably one of those that we're not kicking anything off of. But
Correct.
Chris, you mentioned
Vicious Kind.
Vicious
for me
Kind is probably not your
that.
favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kyle, do you have one?
No way.
I would not kick anything off, but I think I'm with you on A Vicious Kind being my least favorite song on the record.
Yep, that's all I'm saying. Not kick it off. It's just
Yeah, but I wouldn't kick it off. Yeah, I think that's kind of
the one song on this record where I just kind of drone out for a second.
Yeah, and I think you're right. It's because the chorus is just not quite as good as the verses. And for a guy that writes normally really good melodies across the board, you know, it's
Right.
like he doesn't. I've never heard a like he just threw away these verses Ryan Key song.
Right.
Like he doesn't. The dude writes great melodies all the time, and he doesn't have to because he's got some killer choruses. You could just do the '80s thing and just write the forgettable verse, and and it'd be fine. But he does not, and I appreciate that. Grower Not a Shower. What's the song you didn't like at first but now love? Kyle, do you have one?
Man. I don't think it's fair to call it a grower, not a shower, but I think 10 hits harder now that I am more of a dad than I was. You know, I was a brand new dad at this time, like brand spanking new, and I loved my little Mav, but man, I got 3 kiddos now that 10 just. I think I appreciate his vulnerability on that song more than I did at the time.
Yeah, I think that's a totally good answer. I don't think I have I don't know if I have one. I think I like this record right out of the gate. Maybe Sleep in the Snow is one. I don't know that I didn't like it. I think I just like it more after listening to it more, and kind of that outro is pretty great. But I don't think it's like I didn't like it at first. Chris, do you have one?
Oh, it's 10 for me too.
10? Okay.
Yeah, because I mean, I think the first time I heard it, I was like, "Oh, it's a pretty good song," and the second time I heard it, I remember going, "Wait, what?"
Yeah.
And then I literally hit back and pulled the car over and started listening, and I think my eyes teared up. I was like, "Oh my god, that is super specific and super sad."
Yeah.
And so well done. And like Kyle, now I was a father the first time it hit me, and it felt different because of that. If you don't have kids, you can't understand, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, and I wasn't a dad when this came out. I did not have kids until the following year.
I always
so
hated when
think it
people
does
that
make a
had kids said that before I had them. You
it's
just wouldn't
true.
understand.
It is true, though. It's not.
It is,
It's not
yeah,
like
it's
a
just
dig.
true.
It's not like I'm any more enlightened than you are. It's just like you
No,
don't.
it's the same,
you don't
like-
understand it until you do it.
Yeah.
Just like anything
same-
else, I don't understand.
Right, with
what
anything like
climbing-
having a dog. Like, you wouldn't understand what it's like to clean up dog poo with a little baggie unless you had a dog. And then
Right.
just, yeah.
or climb a mountain or any other kind
Yeah.
of thing that you can do. But yeah, that song hits different than it did before kids.
Yeah.
For sure. Well, I guess that is it for us. Like I said, check us out on the social media and stuff like that. If you want to keep up, in a couple weeks, we'll probably announce something about that. We'll either do it live or we'll do some sort of thing like that. I don't know. We just thought it'd be kind of fun for an anniversary thing. And since we always do a Jimmy World Record around the anniversary of the podcast, thought that might be a good excuse. But maybe we'll save it for a different one. I don't know. We'll pay attention. We don't plan that far ahead. If you haven't noticed on this podcast, we don't. We
winging it.
generally text each other at like 8 p.m. Guys, want to record tonight? All right, let's do it. That's about the extent of the planning that goes into this. So appreciate you listening. If you like what you hear, consider giving us a review on Apple Podcast or Spotify, wherever you do stuff. We're doing some little questions and answers and polls and stuff on Spotify. We're trying to put these videos on YouTube, but we're getting copyright infringement claims, which are not true. This is fair use, by golly. But, YouTube cares more about Universal Music than they care about us. Weird. And
I
so,
heard that's because they're buttholes.
yeah, I think that's mostly what it boils down to. And now we're never going to
The rumors.
back on YouTube. So, you can now watch the podcast on Spotify if you want to look at our ugly mugs while we're doing this thing. I don't know why you want to, but I mean, you might. I don't know. You want to see Chris Airdrum. That's probably the good reason to
Kyle-
watch this.
Kyle, tomorrow morning, some intern's going to burst through the CEO's door of Universal. Sir, you're not going to believe what these guys said about you. Hold up his iPhone.
Called us buttholes.
Let me find it. Hold on. There's a lot of audio. There's an hour and a half here.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Sorry, they're talking about Yellowcard again. Yeah, still talking about the same song.
I swear it's coming up.
It's coming up. Anyway, send us your comments, disagreements, suggestions to info@findingemopod or on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram @findingemopod. Other than that, we will catch you next time for Jimmy Eat World Chase This Life.
Peace.